So, Zach, to start off, you were a jackrabbit at South Dakota State University from 2010 to 2014. And what I found that was very impressive that you had over 2,000 rushing yards in your final 3 years at SDSU. Tell me about your time as a jackrabbit on the football field.
Yeah, loved my time at South Dakota State. Have still have friends from my time there. Had Was able to get my degree, which has been valuable to my life, right? Because I had that degree, I was able to get a master's in nutrition to help help people with what I'm doing now, which we can get into as we talk today. And Really just appreciated the community and the support and the opportunity to compete. That South Dakota State was actually my only Division I scholarship offer. So to have my school paid for was such a blessing. So really enjoyed my time there. And if anyone's considering South Dakota State, I highly recommend them.
So now, after your time at SDSU, tell me about your pre-NFL draft experience in the combine and your pro day. What did you take away from that experience?
I think took away from that experience some of the peaks and heights you can reach with your body when you take the time to commit and train. I took another level in my nutrition at that standpoint. Was working with the nutritionist Drew Little at MJP Performance in my pre-draft process, and really able to recognize, you know, what you can do if you invest in your body, over a short period of time. And some of those strategies have stayed with me. I mean, shoot, I even still today I enjoy some of the warm-up exercises I learned at that facility. I still utilize some of those today, and utilize them during my career. So definitely took a lot from the pre-draft process, and also learned a lot about it, right? Which I then pass on to my current clients. So I'm a health coach and an NFL agent, and so my pre-draft process, I'm able to use and leverage those experiences to help our current clients get the most out of their pre-draft process and get themselves in a position to make the NFL.
And we'll talk more about your time as an NFL agent in just a little bit. But for now, you went undrafted in 2015, but signed with the Honolulu Blue and Silver in Detroit soonly after competing for a roster spot in a crowded running back room with local favorite Joy Bell right behind me right there. Amir Abdullah, George Wynn, and Theo Riddick. Take me through your first preseason as a Lion. With all that talent in the locker room, Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate just signing there, and so many others. Were you nervous walking in that locker room for the first time?
Um, I wasn't nervous walking into the locker room. Certainly, I think maybe a little overwhelmed. It was a great facility, from what I had come from, right? I mean, South Dakota State had good facilities, but this was on another level. That's actually funny because that's in contrast to some of my teammates where their college facility was better than the Lions facility,
Hmm.
which is kind of interesting. Just depends on where you went to school, right? So, you go to school at Texas, your college facility is a lot different than the professional one. So, anyways, what was intimidating was being in the huddle with those guys for the first time. So, I wasn't intimidated necessarily seeing them in the locker room, but when I was in the huddle with them for the first time, it was like a random day in the spring. They threw me in there. Yeah, my brain kind of started to malfunction a little bit, which is rare for me. But that was a little bit starstruck. One, it was the first time I was in the huddle with Matthew Golden, CJ, I think it was Ryan Broyles and Brandon Pettigrew. They threw me in there. And it was just like in a walkthrough period in the red zone. And yeah, I remember that. I remember that being like, wow, being a little starstruck. So, but after that, it was fine. After that, you learn, hey, it's all just football. These are all just guys, and we're all here to win.
Yeah, you led the entire NFL in that preseason rushing, which landed you a spot on the final 53-man roster and three-man deal. Now, the opening game, your first game on the road in San Diego against the Chargers, Tell me what, you're telling me just hopping in there in the springtime into that huddle. What was going through your mind when you checked into your first NFL game in that atmosphere out in San Diego?
Yeah, I mean, I think just I we'd already done the preseason games, right? So I think that helped get rid of a lot of those nerves. It was, hey, it's just football trying to win, and also definitely the speed picked up a little bit from those preseason games, playing against people that we knew. But also I enjoyed with game week, when you have an opponent, unlike in the preseason, where you're more focusing on yourself. When it's game week, in some ways it becomes a little bit easier because the playbook becomes a little more condensed. You're watching film on the opponent throughout the week, so you're getting to know them. So in some ways, it kind of narrows the focus and becomes a little bit easier to handle in some regards, and uh, still very exciting and fun.
I mean, unfortunately, though, you guys finished 7-9. Even though you guys started 1-7, you guys finished 7-9 in 2015. Which one of those games was over in England in the UK against the now Super Bowl runner-ups Kansas City in Wembley Stadium. Tell me about that experience, and also with you being an NFL agent now, uh, for all the naysayers about the league playing games in the UK, Brazil, Berlin, Mexico City, Dublin, Ireland coming up in 2025, Australia in 2026, saying it's not good for the league and the NFL should only stay in the United States. Are the naysayers right or are they completely off?
So I wish I could actually comment on that experience, but I was on injury reserve and I did not travel with the team. So I'd broken my ribs in week 6. And I think it was the next week they went to London and I didn't go because I had broken my ribs. So they're like, well, we're not bringing you. So I didn't go on that trip. But from my experience as an agent, I think what's interesting about this push for the NFL into Europe is that there was this really great thing that was fostering football in Europe, and it was the NFL Europe. There was a European league in the NFL years ago that teams had to contribute to, right? I think each division had a team, and each team in the NFC North had to contribute like a certain dollar amount. I think it was like $200,000 or something like that, and then to fund the European team. So like the NFC North had a team, right? And the Lions and the Bears, they all pooled money to make that to like payroll that team. And the owners didn't want to do it. The owners banned the league. They didn't want to do it. And now they want to make the players go over there and play in all these international games and spread the word of football, right? It's like, well, there was a league that was like successful. I mean, I think Kurt Warner played over there. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a league already doing that and now trying to get back in. I think from a player recovery and health standpoint, I think all of this stuff is really a negative, a detriment from a player health and wellness perspective, right? Making people travel and fly, play in six and completely different time zones. That is not good for the athlete. Um, and also then you have that really long flight back for both teams that affects the play the next week. It's the same as Thursday night games. I don't think there should be Thursday night games. It's too short of a week. Maybe you have that special occasion on Thanksgiving, right, or on Christmas Eve or something like that. But the weekly Thursday night game, it's bad for players. It's bad for them. Now, from a fan perspective and from an NFL perspective, I mean, I think it's great, right? I love the Thursday night games now as a fan, right? Shoot, it's Wednesday night. I'm wondering why there isn't an NFL game on TV. Um, but from a player health and perspective, I wish there weren't Thursday night games. On the international side of things, I think if you just look at the games in the United Kingdom, right, in UK, the fan, what the fan support has looked like and how it's changed from those early years, right? I think you can see the difference that it's making in that the market value of the NFL is increasing in the UK. Just if you just look at the stadium, right? I think the first few years we played over there is like no one knew. People were cheering for like the field goals, right? Like no one knew they were cheering for the kicks, right? People didn't really get it. They're just like, hey, cool. Like, yeah, I'll go, right? An NFL game. And now it's like it's full of jerseys, right? There's all these fans. So I think you can see it building, and the market share building uh in other countries.
Yeah, and especially, like you said, the expansion of these global games. I mean, the league's going to go to Ireland. They're going to go to Dublin this year, Australia in 2026. But to your point, yeah, um, I can understand as a I can probably understand as a player the jet lag and everything, but the league now gives those teams that play over there right after that game, that's their bye week usually right after they play overseas nowadays. I don't know how if that was the case when you were still with Detroit, but at least they're kind of making a little bit of improvement when it comes to that. So hopefully
Right. Yeah, but I mean, the more you add, right, the more games you add overseas, the harder that that that's going to go away, right? Say they say that now, but that there's going to be some one team or coming up here with all these international games being added that gets screwed, right? Especially too that you're taking away a home game off the schedule. It's hard to win on the road in the NFL for a number of different reasons. You're taking a home game away, right? So then if one team has more international games than the other, then they have less home field advantage. Are they at a disadvantage to the other teams, right? There's all these sort of competitive questions that fall in that discussion as well.
Yeah, and some teams don't even have any international games at all. Like, you don't see, you probably, yeah, you won't see teams like Philadelphia, who just won the Super Bowl, going overseas next season because that's not going to pull in their TV, not pull in the TV ratings that the league wants. They want them to be at home, or they want them to be at Kansas City or Baltimore or something like that. So yeah, it's a very interesting take on it. So in 2016, you guys, the Lions, made the playoffs for only the second time since 1991 after going 9-7 on the year. But that season also saw an increase in production from you behind Joik Bell after Emil Abdul was lost for the season. As the season progressed and the playoff push was on, did you feel more pressure in your upgraded role that year?
I mean, certainly felt more pressure, just from having to carry the ball more, right? And felt more of a personal responsibility to the team's success, right? Where the more you get to touch the ball, the more you get to influence the game, right, in your performance. So, absolutely, certainly felt that pressure.
Right. And so now, Zach, this is my favorite part of the interview. This is called Rapid Fire Seven. Just seven quick random questions, just rapid fire 1, 2 word answers, just to get to know who Zach Zenner is, what he likes, what he likes to do. So to start off, your go-to hype song before a game.
Oh, I'm not a hype guy. So none, I guess. No hype song. Go-to song before the game. During my career, one of them was Oceans by Hillsong.
Right. Coolest part about your time doing medical research at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit.
Being able, Coolest part was being able to actually conclude a research study that got published. That's really hard in that space, and I had a lot of great help around me with it to be able to do a condensed project to show real results. Um, was awesome.
Your first car.
First car that I purchased,
Yes.
Chevy Silverado 1500. It's sitting in my driveway.
Right. Best favorite place vacation.
Favorite place I have vacationed. We went to Disney with my kids 2 years ago. It was awesome. Like Magic Kingdom. It really was everything it was made out to be for me and my family. We had one of the best days we've had as a family was that day.
Awesome. Favorite off the field memory as a Lion.
Hard to pick one. I mean, many good memories at certain different Bible studies I had. Many excellent community events that I went to. Um, like Shop with the Lion, handed out Thanksgiving turkeys, gave a thanks, scooped mashed potatoes at a Thanksgiving meal. Read at schools and elementary schools. Yeah, I think probably all the community events, if I could lump those all into one.
All right. Best food you had in Detroit. I know there's a lot.
Man, that is a hard one. I mean, give me a category at least, right? Like I need
Uh,
some like
all right. Like favorite. Man, I'm trying to. Man, now you threw it right back at me. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Your favorite. Kind of like your favorite like restaurant to go out to. Like favorite place to go while you're in Detroit. Again, there's a lot of fantastic options that have
yeah.
so
I
much
mean,
variety.
I think so like my wife and I we would go every year like for our anniversary we'd go to Joe Mueller's downtown. That was kind of like the anniversary spot, kind of like on a daily basis. Hey, I want to go out to eat, probably Bromberger in Dearborn, or Al Sultan in Garden City, or Arkin's Barbecue in Southfield.
Right. And lastly, your favorite thing to do with your wife and kids. You mentioned Disney, but like you're just favorite like while you guys are at home, is it like a game night or just movie night or maybe even and football night?
Yeah, so like to right now, if like it snowed over the weekend, we had enough snow finally to go sledding in the backyard. That's a ton of fun with the kids right now. Have a really good time with that. Inside, the kids got Mario Party for Christmas on the Nintendo Switch. So playing Mario Party with my kids or Mario Kart with my kids, that's been a ton of fun for me. Just to interact with them and kind of share how fun video games can be with my children, and have them play and kind of have those same um, issues, like same challenges, all that stuff. That's been really fun.